Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum all of you. I'm Dr. Maria Hamid, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Radiology at National Institute of Child Health. Today we are going to discuss something basics about the pediatric chest X-ray interpretation with a special focus on how children are different from adult. So let's start. The objectives of today's talk are to cover some technical factors. It's very important to know the technical factors before dealing with the interpretation. We review some basic chest radiographic anatomy later. Then we apply a systematic approach for the interpretation. And finally, we review some pediatric emergencies as well as the common routine pathologies. Now coming to the technical factors, film quality, that is depend upon three factors we are discussing now. That is, it's very important to see whether the film has been taken in the posterior anterior view or an anterior posterior view. In routine practice, we are going to shoot the posterior anterior view, especially in adult patients. As the PA view, it's preferred because in AP view it's usually result in the magnified cardiac shadow. So AP view are usually taken when patient is unable to stand, when patient is bedridden, and when patient is in serious condition. But here, since we are dealing with the pediatric age population, pediatric age patients, the children, they are unable to stand most of the time, so we are going to have the AP view, in which we have the magnified heart shadows. Remember, not every enlarged heart shadow in a peds X-ray is considered as cardiomegaly. Then it's very important again to see, and it's nominal to see the film is taken in an erect view or in a lying position. Then comes the inspiration, that is again a film quality factor, the rotation and penetration we will discuss later. Something about the PA projection, what happened, this is the axial section of the chest CT. For the sake of understanding, I have taken these images of the adult patient just to make it more easier for you to understand the anatomy and the normal quality of the film factors. Here what happened, this is the sternum, the heart which is sitting anterior, and the spine is the posterior. As you all know, the ribs and spine lies the posterior. So what happened here, this is the X-ray tube. We are shooting the X-rays, from behind the patient, and the cassette is lying there. So cassette is going to read these X-rays. In this way the PA projection has been taken. So this is the PA erect view, patient is in a standing position and the X-ray tube is lying behind, the cassette is in front. So in this way, this is called a normal PA view. Now what is the evaluation criteria for a good PA projection? So what happened, you have to remember a very simple rule, that the scapula is seen at the periphery of the thorax in PA view, and clavicle is covering the lung fields, while vice versa occur in the AP projection. So what happened, scapula is covering most of the lung fields and clavicles are well away from the apices. We will see in the later coming up slides. Again, the position of marker is very important to see. Always check whether it's an AP projection or PA projection. It's always mentioned. Sometimes the position of the markers can be wrong by the technicians, can be mistakenly they can mistakenly put these markers, but you have to be very conscious all the time. Then comes the posterior ribs. As the name indicate, the PA is from posterior. You are giving the X-ray source from posterior, so posterior ribs are more distinct, more conspicuous on PA projection than the anterior ribs. So these are the basic PA and AP views. So what happened, if you are going to see these scapula, the middle border of the scapula, they are lying at the periphery of the edges, they are lying at the edges of the X-ray, edges of the chest lung fields, while what happened in AP view, they are lying they are covering most of the lung field. Most of the lung field is being hindered by these scapulae. Reverse here occurring, the clavicle is covering the upper aspect or upper lobes of the chest, while here, if you see, clavicles are away from the lung fields. One more thing which we have just discussed about the magnification of heart. So what happened if you compare this heart and this heart? This heart is showing some pseudocardiomegaly. So again, it's a technical factor. It's not the part of routine. So you have to include the apices. Always you have to include the apices, as well as you have to cover the costophrenetic angles in your x-rays, so as to not to miss any pathology. Then comes another factor, that is the penetration. So when you say this is an adequately penetrated film, you should be able to see the spine behind the heart or through the heart. If film is underpenetrated, then what happen? The left hemidiaphragm, usually it is obscured. So when you say it's well penetrated film, when you are going to see the spine through the heart. So again, adequacy of film is maintained in this. So what is under and over penetration? Basically, when you are giving the factors, the MAS and KVP, these are the X-ray factors, the current which you are giving through the X-ray tube. So when you are giving these factors in a very lesser amount, let's assume you are giving in a obese patient the same amount which you are giving in a lean patient, like in 60 kVp or an 30 ms. If you are giving in an obese patient, so what happened? You may get this kind of picture. So in this picture, again, there is no normal localization of normal anatomy, as well as the pathology is also obscured. And when these factors are too much, when you are applying these factors too much, then you may have an over penetrated film. Again, the anatomy is gone. So you have to be very careful about the penetration of the film. Finally, the final factor, that is inspiration. So a well inspired film usually contain 8 to 9 posterior ribs in a pediatric patient. Pediatric chest x-ray must be taken in adequate inspiration, as film taken in expiration may exaggerate the bronchovascular markings, which may labeled as a pseudo pathology. Again, so let's count the ribs. 1, this is the 2, this is the 3, this is the 4, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is considered as a well inspired film. Now for the understanding, I have kept this illustration for you people, that inspiration view and the expiration view. So what happened here? Only the 6 ribs are covered posteriorly. Here only the 3 ribs are covered. So what's going on here? You see there is less lung volume is covered, less blackening. Here is the more blackening till this part. So this is well inspired film. Patient has inspired in a good, patient has taken good breath. So are you going to see any opacity in this region? So this opacity can be mistaken as a lung collapse, maybe the consolidation, or maybe the infection. So what's the answer of this? How to confirm whether this is a consolidation or it's in some spurious pathology? So we need to repeat the x-ray. In such cases, we need to ask the patient to take fully inspired view, or it's a fully inspired effort. Then what happened? This area has been considered as normal because there is no spurious opacity which was seen on the expired view. So it's very important to take the film in a fully inspired view. It's very, very important to check the ribs. Now this is another example in a peds patient. What's going on here? You see this is the normal inspiratory x-ray of a patient. This was the patient presented to us. Here what happened? The both lung fields are obscured by multiple opacities. Here these are the opacities with subtle air bronchogram within them. So what happened, the left hemidiaphragm is again obscured, the heart is not, we are not going to appreciate the heart shadow, cardiac shadow. So again, when we repeat this child and take in a fully inspired view, then what happened, all these stuff has been vanished, completely vanished. So this is the normal x-ray. So I do assume that it's very difficult to take proper inspective film in children because of their non-cooperative nature. Then finally comes the rotation, and rotation to make the diagnosis that patient is in a non that this X-ray has been taken in a rotated or a non-rotated state. You have to see these spinous processes. These are the spinous processes. You have to see the distance between these spinous processes and the medial end of the clavicle. If this distance is, it must be equidistant on each side, on both sides. If this distance is increased, then patient, if this distance is increased, let's assume on the right side, then we suppose the patient has been rotated towards the right. So it's a most common cause for inequality in the translucency of two lungs, needs to be differentiated from increased transradiancy resulting from other causes, particularly air trapping. Now here, for the sake of understanding, I have kept this for you. These are the spinous processes. Now look at the difference between the distance between the medial end of the clavicle and the spinous process. Here on right side the distance is more, so patient is rotated towards the right. Now we will discuss how the children are different from adult. Beside the tremendous size difference that happens with the maturation, there is also a tremendous change in body habitus of a child, and those developmental changes are reflected on a pediatric chest X-ray. For example, the thymus. This is the normal, well penetrated and well inspired film. How the spine is, we can see the spine behind the heart. We can see how much, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 ribs. So it's a well inspired film. So there is an opacity, triangular opacity in right upper lobe. So what kind of opacity is this? Is this a normal or abnormal? So in the children, this is a normal thymus. So it is considered as a highly variable in size and shape, and it can be seen in early ages, years of the normal children. Later, up to the 8 years of age, it usually vanished away. Let's assume if you are going to see this thymus in a 16-year-old guy, then what you say? You must say it's an highly abnormal kind of pathology. But if the similar kind of thymus you may see in a 2-year-old or 3-year-old guy, then it is considered as normal. So this is a normal thymus, which should not be considered as a pathology. Now, before proceeding, we must know something about the radiographic densities. What kind of densities you are going to see when you are having an X-ray in your hand. We see the metal in terms of bullet or pellets, or sometimes the surgical clips. The bone, the calcium, which is seen within the bones, and ribs, the scapulae and the clavicle and the vertebra. Then comes the soft tissue or fluid, the fat density, and no doubt the air within the lung. So this is an example that what happened, metal absorbs the most of the X-ray. So what happened, the most of the X-rays are being absorbed within the metal, few are reflected back. So film cassette would be deprive of the X-rays. So what happened, you may get chalky white densities. Then comes the air. What happened, air absorbs the least X-rays. So most of the X-rays reach up to the film cassette. So what happened, more blacker would be the film. Then comes the calcium, fluid and fat. What they do, some of the X-rays may reach up to the film cassette and few are reflected back. So they give you a range of gray densities. Some are more blacker, some are intermediate, some are between the gray shades. Let's do the chest x-ray anatomy. So this is starting from the center, then we go to the periphery. This is the central airway, the trachea, and the main bronchi. This is called the bifurcation. It is really centrally placed, a more bit to the right side. Then comes the carina, right main bronchus, and as you all know, lung has 3 lobes, upper, middle, and lower right side, and 2 lobes on the left side by means of right horizontal fissure and oblique fissure. On the left side we are having only 1 fissure, left oblique fissure or major fissure. So that's why, due to this orientation, the right main bronchus has an ip arterial bronchus, which is called superior lobe bronchus. Then comes the aorta. This is aortopulmonary window and trachea. Then again, this is an example what's going on here. If you see, normally you have to see the trachea, and there's nothing on the right as well as on the left side of the trachea. So this is called the paratracheal strip. The normal paratracheal strip should be 2 mm. So what's going wrong here? Here this paratracheal strip has been widened. If you see the distance, if you measure the distance from this aspect of trachea up to that part, it is increased. So there is some lobulated soft tissue density over here, and also on the left side. So this is consistent with lymphadenopathy. So differential would include the lymphoma, or maybe some malignancy or metastatic deposits, or maybe some infections. Then comes the inferior part of the mediastinum, which contains the heart, right heart border, left heart border, as you all know. Then comes the hyla. Normally the hyla should be concave on either aspect. These must be concave on right and left side. If they are convex or more bulky, then you have to again think of lymphadenopathy. This is an example of the bulky hyla. Here you see the left hilum is convex,